Hey guys, I hope you guys are all staying safe during these tough quarantine times. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys a video on how to play the safety position and my 5 main points on what I think makes up a great safety, guys. So before we dive in the video, make sure you guys subscribe, follow along the journey, leave me a like on this video, leave me a comment, let me know what you guys thought about the video, what you want to see in future videos. We're going to be covering things like cleat reviews, what I think about them, why I like to wear them, shoe reviews that I wear in the weight room. Tons of great stuff, guys. Just spreading the knowledge that I've learned during my time playing football and in athletics, guys. So I'm just super excited to share that with everybody because it's something that I wish I had growing up as a kid, somewhere where I could see like, oh, what cleats should I be buying? What type of shoes should I be working out? How should I be doing my workouts? What could I do to be a better football player, guys? So I'm super excited to share all of that with everybody. And that's what kind of we'll be looking at in the future here, guys. I'll be doing weekly uploads and just trying to help people. At the end of the day, that's my goal, is to help young athletes get to the position where I'm at today in the professional ranks. And obviously I still have a ton of work to do. And I know that I'm excited to get to work, but I know there's a lot of kids out there that are like me, that are undersized, overlooked, and have a dream of playing professional football, guys. So I'm super excited to jump into this video. So let's hop in this, guys. So the safety position in Canada, and I'm going to stick mainly to Canada, right? Because that's where I'm currently playing pro football. I do know a lot about the American side, and maybe in another video I'll delve into the American safety position as well. But for starting off, we're going to start with the safety position in the country of Canada, guys. So the safety position in Canada, for those of you that don't know, for the most part is played as like a cover 3 high, and you're usually lined up between 15 and 20 yards off the football, usually apexing the number 3 receiver and the center. That's usually kind of where our safeties align, depending on what the coverage is. Obviously, there's different times where we could be lined up in a different spot than that, but for the most part, mostly as a safety, you're between 15 and 20 yards off the ball, and you're apexing the number 3 receiver and the center for all my Canadians out there, guys. Obviously, the main points of playing safety are going to be, you're going to need to know how to backpedal. Number 1, you got to be really comfortable with going backwards and not going forwards when you run, because as a defensive back, any of the positions, right, you're going to need to have a good backpedal, have good eyes, good football IQ. There's so many different things that you need that go into it, guys, but today I'm going to break down my top 5. So starting with number 1, my most important thing that I think that makes a great safety is going to be, you're going to need to have a good football IQ, guys. So what does that mean? What does having a good football IQ mean? A good football IQ means that you're being smart on and off the field, guys. So in the film room, you're being able to look at film, break down offenses, understand your defense, and it goes more than just learning your own position. The safety is the coach of the defense, guys. I really hear that a lot, and you know, the safety and the MAC linebacker are the 2 positions where you got to really know what's going on your side of the ball, guys. So sticking to the safety position, the most important thing is knowing your job at all times, guys. So can't stress that enough. As a safety, you need to know your job at all times, and you need to do your job at all times. That way you can put yourself in a good position to make plays on the football. Number 2, I would say, that's bar none, the thing that's helped me the most, is understanding everyone else's position on the field. Minus the D linemen. I do try to understand what the D linemen are doing to a certain extent in terms of stunts, pass pressures, and stuff like that. But for the most part, as a defensive back, we need to know our coverages, right? So what can we do to help ourselves? Well, number 1, obviously, is going to be learning our position to a T, knowing everything that we can do. Number 2 within that is going to be learning everyone else's position. So you got to be knowing what your field side corner is doing and what your boundary side corner is doing every single play. Also knowing what your Sam linebacker is doing and your Will linebacker. Same with your MAC and your boundary and field halves, guys. So the more you understand what your defense is doing as a whole, that allows you to make good football decisions on the field because you know what the defense is doing, guys. So that's been one of the single most important things for me, is knowing my job and also knowing everyone else's job, so it can help me make better plays on the field and know what's going on, guys. So within that football IQ also comes understanding offensive schematics. So you're going to want to make sure that you know what the offense is doing week in and week out. That means watching film, drawing up plays on the whiteboard, learning your X's and O's and all that stuff, guys. So football IQ, it's all in the brain, and that is really going to give you a competitive advantage over almost 90% of the football players that are out there, because not a lot of people understand that if you really understand the game of football and you're able to make plays based off of what's going on in your head, you're a step ahead of everybody else. So that would be my main number one point, is you need a good football IQ. So number two, you got to be a leader. And this could even be number one. These aren't ranked in any specific order, but you got to be a leader as a free safety, guys, because you have to be able to command your defense and understand what's going on, and also tell people sometimes, what their job is as well, because sometimes in games, we get these crazy football brain, I guess, where you're in the middle of the game, bullets are flying, all this crazy stuff, and for some reason you kind of just, your brain goes dead. And you sometimes don't get calls from the sidelines, or you just don't hear what's going on because it's so loud. So as a safety, you got to be able to lead and help your teammates around you for in the event where they, some reason, forget their play or something happens on the field, quick hurry up offense, anything like that, where you can help your team. That's got to be number one. Also, a leader must be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So what exactly does that mean, guys? So that really means, let's say we're in the gym or we're on the field or somewhere, and you just see someone, let's say it's Johnny for some reason. Johnny is out there, not doing his full performance out there on a rep or taking a play off or something like that. And maybe there's 2 or 3 guys that are doing that. And what does that mean? What can a leader do in that situation? Well, you're going to have to be uncomfortable, because you're going to have to confront whoever that is taking that play off. Maybe there's more than one person, and that's going to be an uncomfortable situation. Can you do that? And that's what good leaders do. Good leaders help bring the rest of the team up and encourage everybody, make sure that everyone's doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, make sure that everyone is working as a nice, cohesive unit. So number one, you need to have a good football IQ. Number two, you need to be a leader. You got to lead by example. Sometimes you got to get vocal. There's so many ways you could be a leader, but at the end of the day, find what works for you in being a leader and go out and enact that in every day. And you know what? Sometimes leaders just have to step on toes, guys, because at the end of the day, you got to pull people along. Not everyone is going to be able to be a leader. There are leaders, there's role players, there's so many different, positions within football. And I know there's a lot of people that want to be leaders, but sometimes only a certain amount of people can be leaders. So understand what you're capable of, where you fit in. But anyone can be a leader. Leaders aren't just, you're not just born a leader. You're not, leaders aren't just picked out of thin air. Leaders are bred and molded and crushed because they've had the experiences to go along with everything. So guys, don't get discouraged. Leaders are out there everywhere. You can learn from a lot of great mentors out there that can teach you how to become leaders. If you guys have any questions, you guys can always reach out to me on things that I did. So jumping into number 3 here, guys, jumping on to more of the tangible aspects of football. You guys need to be agile, have decent speed, and be able to cover ground, guys. So what does number 1 mean in being agile? So you got to make sure you guys are taking care of your work outside of football, which means, making sure you're doing your agility drills and your ladders, all that type of stuff that is keeping you active and ready to go, and being able to cut on a dime, all that great stuff, doing your individual drills. There's so many things that you could do to increase agility, but that's one of the most important things, is being able to be agile. Number 2 is going to be having decent speed, guys. So by now, if you guys are in college or late into high school, you've kind of figured out if you're the fast guy or not, or if you have decent enough speed. And you're going to need to have decent speed to play the safety position at the end of the day. The football IQ can make up for, if you're not a 4.2 or a 4.3 guy like myself. I was never 4.2, 4.3. I ran in the 4.5s, 4.6s, but I made up for that with my football IQ. So that leads back to number 1, having that decent speed. Yes, you need to have at least, a decent speed to where you can keep up with guys. You can't be running like linemen slow speed, but some of those linemen are super fast, guys. Don't let the big men deceive you. Some of them run super fast times. So having that decent speed is definitely important, but if you're not super fast, you can make up for that with your football IQ. And then going into the third part of this topic, you're going to need to be able to cover ground as a safety, especially in the Canadian game, with the field being so wide and having the receivers having kind of the waggle motion head start. You got to be able to cover ground. So you got to learn what your strengths are on the field in terms of how close you could be to a guy and run with them. So if, like I said, if you are a 4.2, 4.3 guy, okay, I can be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage in my starting stance. If I'm not, okay, I got to back off a little bit. So being able to cover ground is very important, even when the ball's in the air. The guys that make the most plays on the balls are the guys that can cover ground when the ball's in the air and be around the ball. At the end of the day, I'm sure tons of coaches have told you this, but be around the football and good things will happen. There's been so many times in my collegiate career where, I could have easily stopped on a play and just said, you know what, oh, the play's over, this guy's going to make a tackle, or he's going to bat the ball down. But instead, I made sure that I was as close to the ball as I could be. I've made interceptions off tip passes, recovered fumbles because the guy fumbled it because I was hustling to the place. At the end of the day, just make sure you are getting to the ball on every single play, because you never know what could happen and what event on that play could change the whole game, because you get a turnover, you get an interception, something like that, a pass breakup that's in the end zone, anything like that, guys. Just make sure you guys are hustling to the ball at the end of the day. So that's it for number 3. Now going on to number 4, and this is a very key one. You have to be able to be physical as a safety. So a lot of people think that, oh, I'll play safety, I'll just backpedal, and I'll never have to come in the box and make a hit or anything like that. That is dead wrong. Guys, if you're going to be playing the free safety position, yes, you could probably get away backpedaling and not being in the play. But at one point or another, any position on the field, you're going to have to tackle somebody. So if you are not physical, coaches, scouts will see that right away, and they'll realize, hey, this guy's not being physical. He's not going to be able to play for our defense, because at the end of the day, football is a physical sport and you got to tackle people. So I can definitely make a video in the future here teaching guys how to properly tackle. There's a few different ways that I use when I'm personally in football games. It's definitely based off of who the guy is, how big he is, where I'm at on the field. All those certain things come into factor when I'm tackling somebody. So you got to be physical. You can't be afraid to get your nose dirty. And actually, a lot of coaches and scouts love it when they find a free safety that is able to come down in the box and make hits and isn't afraid, to make tackles and stuff like that. So case in point, myself right here. So a lot of the scouts that I talked to were very interested in me because, not only was I a good cover player, but I like to come down and make tackles. And, quite frankly, that's my favorite part about football ever since I learned about it, was the tackling aspect. So, I've loved it ever since then. And that's been my key, favorite point, is being able to tackle people. That crack of the pads. You just can't explain it to anyone unless you're on the field and you've done that before. So that would be number 4. Now leading into number 5 of my 5 main points. Number 5 is, I guess, more subjective for me personally, what I've felt over the past few years of playing football and my knowledge of the game. Number 5 is going to be, you have to be able to take calculated risks on the field. So what does that mean? Does that mean, oh, it's 2nd and 10, they're going to pass here, I'm going to run over here because I know the ball's going to be there and, try to make an interception, and oh, they just threw a touchdown over my head because I left my zone. That's not what taking calculated risks means. What does taking a calculated risk actually mean? Well, that leads back into our number 1 point, which is the football IQ aspect. And what you got to do is, number 1, you're going to have to be studying your opponent all week, making sure you know the ins and outs, how they run, how they move, all that good stuff of breaking down an offense in your weekly breakdown of film, schemes, all that good stuff. So as for taking those calculated risks, that really means making sure that, in game, you've done everything that you have during the week to prepare for your opponent. So now it's game day and you got to take some calculated risks. I'm not saying that every play has to be a calculated risk. In the game of Canadian football, your average, plays during the game is anywhere between 60 and 80 plays per game. So I would say about 5 to 10 of those plays, you got to take some sort of calculated risk. I'm not saying there's a certain play where you got to take it, but you'll just know. You have watched film, you've seen your opponent all week, they go into a certain play where they're going to throw the ball to a certain player during that time, and you just got to go make a play on it. So number 1, you got to make sure that you are still abiding by your defensive back rules pertaining to the free safety. So when you're taking these calculated risks, you can't be leaving your zone or anything like that uncovered. You got to make sure that your zone is covered and you can go make a play on that ball, on that tackle, or something like that. But at the end of the day, if you take these calculated risks properly and you've been studying all week, making sure that you've prepared properly for the team that you are playing, then you'll be able to enact those on game day, whether it's going for the strip on the ball carrier instead of securing the tackle. Although you should always secure the tackle, make sure you can bring him down just in case you don't get the ball, because, those running backs are tricky. And, sometimes it'll look like the ball is easy to get out and they got a firm grip on it. So make sure you guys always secure the tackle. But if you notice that on film that the guy's been carrying the ball loosely in the past couple games, try to get that ball out of there and try to make a play on the football. So going back over, guys, the top 5 main points that I've shared with you on what I think makes a great safety. Number 1 is going to be having a great football IQ. You need to have a good knowledge of the game and understanding to be successful. Number 2, you need to be a leader. Gotta lead by example, gotta be vocal with your teammates, not be afraid to speak out, even though it might feel uncomfortable at certain times. Trust me, it'll pay off in the long run. Number 3, you need to be agile, you need to have decent speed, and you need to be able to cover ground in order to make plays and be a good safety. Number 4, you need to be physical. You need to know how to tackle, not be afraid to get your nose dirty and get down in the box and make a play on a running back or a receiver whenever the time comes. And number 5, you got to be able to make calculated risks. Using those other 4 main points that I gave you guys, that will definitely increase those chances of you having successful plays on the football field. And make sure to subscribe, guys, because we're going to be bringing some great content to this channel, and overall just spreading my knowledge of the game and helping young athletes, achieve their goals, whether that be wanting to play professional football, playing at the high school or collegiate level, or even just playing football in general, guys. I'm super excited to share my knowledge with you guys because I definitely needed that when I was a kid growing up. I had tons of questions, and I'm definitely here to answer those. So leave me a comment if you guys had questions. Hit me up on social media, follow my social channels, and I can definitely help you guys out. If I don't know the answer to it, I have tons of resources, kind of at my demand. So if I don't know an answer, I can definitely direct you to someone who knows it, or even ask for you guys. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.